Good morning, Tom, and
Good morning, Marius.
and thank you for being with us today here. And the purpose of this meeting is to talk with Norwegians about
Yep.
Lithuanians, especially those who are here in Norway.
Yeah.
So I see your face in a lot of events, Lithuanian events in the embassy. So can you help me name all your involvements, all your projects with Lithuania? How you are? First one is the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. The first one is the LNCC, the Lithuanian-Norwegian Chamber of Commerce, which we started actually 5 years ago. So it's time to have a 5-year anniversary and to have a party. So we started the Chamber of Commerce, and the reason for that, of course, is that my spouse is Maria from Kleppesto, and we met in 2013. And at some point she wondered what she could sort of do back for her country. So to make a long story short, we ended up establishing the Chamber of Commerce in 2014.
Okay.
So that has been a privilege. And then we have in Lithuania, there's something called the NLCC, the Norwegian-Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce. So we have a very good cooperation with them. They are 10 years old. And
So they had like more experience and
yeah, but that's different because that's Norwegians in Lithuania. So that's Norwegians abroad.
correct.
So in the NLCC there are lots of members, big members. Now Bjørnar Lund was the chairman of that for many years. He's now back in Norway. He was running the NB in Lithuania. That's now Luminor, Used to be the NB and Nordea merging, and now that's Luminor. So Bjørnar is back with Elena, his wife, and 2 kids in Norway, and we have got him into our board. So there's a transition from the Vilnius board to the Norwegian board, which is really good.
Okay.
So that's the Chamber of Commerce. But then I have other things. I run 3 maritime associations. One of them is called Shipping and Offshore Network. One is called Oslo Shipowners Association, and one is called Ocean Industry Forum Oslofjord. And they are all combined in a way. But the Shipping and Offshore Network is an international one. And we have since 2016 been part of a project, an Interreg project, Interreg BSR. BSR meaning Baltic Sea region. So that's a separate category in the Interreg, which is again European Union. The project is called Go LNG. This one arrived last week. I was in Kleppesto and I picked it up and I got a big trunk of this to carry with me back home. And this is actually one of the results of the project run by Kleppesto Science and Technology Park. We are 19 partners from countries all around the Baltic Sea, and we are the only Norwegian one. And because of this has been run by Kleppesto. And this is of course because of Hög LNG, independence, the pride of Lithuania, coming in November 2014, just as we had established our Chamber of Commerce. And as you know, we have had the story of independence as one event in the Chamber of Commerce together with LPO, Lithuanian professionals in Oslo. And because of Hög Energy and independence and what you managed to do with the government of Lithuania to establish that, you have become independent, as the name indicates, at least a lot more independent of your big brother in the east, Russia, than you used to be. And Hög Energy is a member of Oslo Shipowners Association. So I have these connections with all this shipping and maritime and ocean. And happily, my spouse Maria, she's from Kleppesto. Okay. Nothing wrong about Šioje or other places, but I'm very happy that she's from the port town of Kleppesto, because we have, not because of that, but we have now strong ties between what I'm doing in Oslo and Kleppesto being the port town. She works in the MVGL, and the MVGL is a very important actor in my associations, as you can imagine. And the MVGL, of course, is also in Kleppesto, also in Kaunas. The Go LNG project came to us not because of Maria, but without Maria we wouldn't have it. And I can tell you why. And then we go back to how I started to be involved in Lithuania. And actually, if we go before that, I'm older than you and all of you guys. I was young in the 80s and 90s. I was born in 1966. So I was born during the Cold War. And I was very interested for some reason in the Baltics and East Europe and East and West. And I was fortunate to be a student when the Iron Curtain fell and everything collapsed in the Soviet Union. And I took 6 months of my studies to work with Eastern Europe. And this led me to get to know a man called Magne Reme from Kristiansand, who was one of the first Norwegians to go to Lithuania.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering to ask you, like, this love for Lithuania, it's not happening overnight.
No. So
what is the story? So it started as you were a student?
Yeah, well, it actually started when I was a student. I was writing my thesis, and I was writing about the Baltic States. I was writing Baltic States, you know, the 3 Baltic States, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, or actually about Eastern Europe. I was in Latvia. I wrote a thesis called Strategic Alliances, the Key to Eastern Europe, ? Because this was at the time after the fall of the Iron Curtain, after the independence of the Baltic States, where many companies in the West wanted to cooperate with companies in the East and vice versa. Yeah. But you know, there were no structures, there were no legal structures in place.
We don't know how the Wild West is working.
Well, and we didn't really know how the Wild East was working. So what we then did was to say that perhaps a strategic alliance would be the good way to do it. So that's what I was writing about in 1992. That was in Riga.
Your education was a
Master of Economics in Business Administration and Economics. And my school is NHH in Bergen, the Norwegian School of Economics. And many of your countrymen have gone to that school. And Magne Reme, who I was introduced for in 1994, he started his work in Lithuania in 1994. And he's the one who built up Innova Baltic. And actually Darius, who works for me in Innova Baltic, he has also gone to my school. So there are many connections, you know, between Norway and Lithuania. But anyway, that's how I got involved in the first place with Lithuania back in 1994. And actually in 1996, which is a long time ago.
So basically it's more than 20 years ago.
Yeah. But you know, in 1996, my first visit to Lithuania was in 1994 with Magne. We flew a small plane from Fornebu, because this was before Gardermoen, Fornebu to Kaunas, because that's how we could do this, a small plane. And they were taken by car to Vilnius. So it's a long time ago. And in 1996, our then Prime Minister Gro Harlem Brundtland, she had a state visit or a visit to Lithuania. And then we organized a business seminar attached to that visit. So she was on a visit, and then we had a business seminar with Norwegian-Lithuanian interests in 1996 in Vilnius. So this goes way back, long before I met Maria.
Okay.
And then in 2014,
so fast forward
many years, I had met Maria. This is what I call my life 2.0, because I was, you know, I had been with my wife for many years, we divorced and so on. And so I met Maria. And so there was no, you know, friends of mine are not surprised that I have a Lithuanian spouse and are so much involved in Lithuania. But the thing with Go LNG, the story behind that is that I was asked to be a moderator for a conference in Kleppesto, organized by the Norwegian Embassy, Innovation Norway, the Chamber of Commerce, in 2014, which had to do with maritime and offshore opportunities. So I was a moderator for this conference in Kleppesto, and Maria came with me. And then Andrius Sutnikas from the Kleppesto Science and Technology Park, he was one of the speakers. And I said to Maria that, wow, this was a good speaker, you know, he seems to know what he's talking about. And I was the moderator for this. And then after this conference, we had a dinner in the restaurant called Skandalas. And the mayor of the town was the host, and because I was the moderator, I was sitting next to the mayor. And then he said, and this is the mayor that was just re-elected in Kleppesto. Yeah, and he's a trumpet player, a jazz person, and he organizes a jazz festival. So he said, oh, you know, you should come back for the jazz festival. Of course. This was in April. So I said to Maria, should we go back for the jazz festival? Yes, we did. And then at during the jazz festival, then she saw this Andrius again. And she said, isn't that this Andrius that you said was such a good person? And I said, yeah, let's talk to him. And we did, and that's how this came about. That they needed a Norwegian partner for their project. So suddenly, my association, Shipping and Offshore Network, became a partner in the Go LNG, involving 19 partners around the Baltic Sea region. And that is now coming to an end. So it's been a great pleasure, you know, to get to know Kleppesto properly because of this. And in the middle of all that, you have Hög LNG and independence. So that's some of my sort of attachment to Kleppesto.
Okay, so basically it's a long story from starting from student years.
Yeah.
Some like true love. like happening at the beginning, then it's going down, and then it's going up again.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is that I was much around the Baltic States and all of Eastern Europe in 1990, 1991. Student conference, I was a very active student. First in West Europe and the US, and then later in Eastern Europe after the fall of the Iron Curtain, and it was extremely exciting. I was even in Berlin during the reunification of Germany in October 1990. So and there's a long story behind that, but that was quite interesting. So for me now to be dealing with Lithuania the way I do and be running the German Commerce is really good, but it's not something new. It's something that started when I was a student.
Yeah.
Actually, it started when I was a kid in Germany.
Okay, that's
not a story.
Other time story.
Yeah, but you know, the first time when I realized that there was an east and there was a west, and that was actually when I was a kid on a lake in Germany. And for me, coming from Norway, you know, being this naive Norwegian, thinking that the world is such a nice place, and suddenly be on a lake on a boat where East Germany was on the other side. And you know, there were guard towers, there were self-shots in the waters, there were dogs, there were, you know, and to realize that Europe and Germany was divided like that when I was 13 or 14 years old really made an impact. And I think that's why all this happened afterwards. I was seeking for these East-West relations.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, let's talk a bit about Lithuanians here in Oslo.
Yeah.
I guess you
There are many.
know a few of them.
Yes, I do.
Do you notice? Do you feel like lately in the like increasing activity of Lithuanians here? It's like Lithuanians are raising their heads.
Yeah, and I think that raising the head is a very important thing here actually, because well, I don't know about Lithuania, but East and West Germany, the East Germans, some of them were very against the reunification because they knew that they would be second-rank citizens for many, many years in United Germany. And I think it's important that you raise your heads, like you said, and you have, many have. I guess many still have a head a bit down because you have so much to be proud of. When you see all the good things happening in Lithuania, and we see, you know, I was very proud when we had also Innovation Week, and to see what kind of events we did, or you Lithuanians did during Oslo Innovation Week. And I was so proud that when I came to the Kleppesto the week after to speak at this seminar by IQ magazine, I brought pictures from Silvia Ceres, what she said during the opening of Oslo Innovation Week. And then Silvia Ceres, she is a tech guru in Norway. She is on the board of the MUGL. She is on many, many boards. She's very smart and yeah, exactly. And she had a presentation at Oslo Innovation Week where the 12 Gutenberg moments we are in right now. She called it the 12 Gutenberg moments. Yeah. And I showed this in Kleppesto, and I said, and then I showed what we did the day after, or you did, after her opening, with these seminars during Oslo Innovation Week, and pointing at what she called Gutenberg moments. The Lithuanians did this and this and this and this in their seminar. So, you know, you are not laggards, you are actually very advanced. It was augmented reality, it was blockchain and artificial intelligence and these things, which I think to tell people in Kleppesto, coming from Norway, in Oslo, that this is happening in Vilnius was a bit funny because many of these people in Kleppesto didn't know about this. So I felt I came as a messenger with some good news from Vilnius to Kleppesto from Oslo. That was fun.
Okay. Before this meeting, I went to Statistic Bureau of Norway and tried to extract some numbers about the Lithuanians here in Oslo, in overall Norway. And what struck me that in last 10 years, officially registered Lithuanians, like 10 years ago, it was 7,000. Mm-hmm. Now it's 40,000.
Mm-hmm. That's official numbers.
That's official numbers.
But you don't really know.
Yeah, we know that there are much more, but those who really want to commit to make the difference, they probably will register and do everything like in proper way. So I think that's those real people are on this list, and the like last 5 years it was increased by 10,000. So I think it's like people first of all they are coming, establishing themselves, and then okay, I have a safe background. Then I'm starting to go do some work for others, and I think more and more this Lithuanian-Norwegian cooperation is coming up.
Yeah, what I've seen is that Lithuanians are very popular in Norway. We have two big groups of immigrants in Norway. One is the Swedes, which is natural because we in Norway have always been exchanging people, and we have the Nordic region, Nordic countries where
tiny border.
Yeah, and we had our own European Union kind of thing for many years, decades in the Nordic countries with free travel and free work. But there have been many Swedes in Norway during the sort of Swedish recession and Norwegian boom some years ago, and then you had all the Lithuanians. And you have now 40,000 in your list, but we have heard rumors that it could be like sometimes 50, 60,000, because people travel freely. But you have two kinds of Lithuanians, basically. You have the construction workers, or the manual workers, that you have many of around Norway. And the Lithuanians and the Polish people are known to be very good and steady and trustworthy construction people, or handy people in many ways. And then you have the sort of professionals ones. So when we made the LPO, the Lithuanian Professionals in Oslo Club, we wanted to make, based from Stockholm, as you know, we wanted to make a place where people who are Lithuanians in Norway can meet. They're not companies entering Norway like the Chamber of Commerce is focusing on, or companies in Norway, but they're individuals who happen to work in Norwegian companies, like my Maria and like you guys. And you have a lot of Lithuanians, very well educated, hardworking, fluent in Norwegian, in so many countries, and all I hear is good things about these people. And I met many of them, and I become very impressed and very humble. I have never had to move somewhere, because I grew up in Norway. I've been living in Norway. I don't know what it means to move somewhere else, to take a chance somewhere else, and then how to be welcomed or not welcomed by the country you live in. We all know a lot of people and Lithuanians in the UK, and I was actually in London the weekend of the Brexit vote or referendum in 2016. That was terrible because London was in shock. And we have friends, I guess you have as well, who live in London for many years, or in England, Lithuanians, and other people who feel now that they are not so welcome anymore. But I hope that they feel welcome in Norway, and I think many Lithuanians I know feel very good about Norway, and they want to stay in Norway, and they have sort of rooted themselves in Norway.
But like if you were talking from if you are person representative, typical Norwegian person, about Lithuanians, how do we look in that picture?
Well,
of course, the press. If something is coming to the press, then probably it's going to be bad.
Okay. Let's not do. I said you have two types of Lithuanians in Norway: the professionals and the construction workers. Of course, you also have a third group that come to Norway just to take things with them and go back again. Stealing and things like that. But that's from all nations. And when we started the Chamber of Commerce in 2014, we planned it already in 2013. One thing we wanted to do is to try to change that narrative of what are Lithuanians in Norway, and to focus on the good stories. And there are so many good stories. And I think I was in Kleppesto last week. I flew Norwegian straight to Kleppesto, and then I flew SAS back via Copenhagen. It was only a 24-hour trip. Regarding this is when I got this one back with me. But anyway, when you board the plane from Oslo to Kleppesto or to Vilnius, you are amongst a lot of Lithuanians. And then you have the whole range of people. You have those who look really, if I may say so, without anybody accusing me or anything, who look and perhaps even smell really East European from what we felt from Eastern Europe back in the days. And then there are people like you, so you can't anymore say that, that's the typical Lithuanian or something. You can, sometimes you can say, well, this person looks like an East European person, perhaps. But most people we see today are just like you and me, Lithuanians, and you mingle in, and you have blonde hair, blue eyes, like my daughters, my Lithuanian-Norwegian joint ventures, so far have blonde eye and blue eyes.
So basically, when we have this population of almost 40,000-50,000 people, we have a diversity of full spectrum of everything.
Yes, you do, but you also have a lot of people who blend in so beautifully. So now, of course, if I were Lithuanian government and president, and I know this is an issue, especially now with Brexit, because the brain drain, if you look at it from the Lithuanian side, the brain drain is not good for Lithuania. But last year we had a meeting with Green Carrier in Kleppesto, and one woman there, she had been many years in the UK, and then now she came back to sort of re-establish herself in Lithuania. And when you see how people who do that bring competence and knowledge and perhaps a network and so on from other countries back to Lithuania, that is also an asset.
Yeah, exactly.
So for the Lithuanian side, you would hope, or they should hope, that some of these people would at some point come back.
At some point in the future, those numbers will flip and will be more coming back to die easily and calm in Lithuania. And
even though we love to have Lithuanians in Norway, from the Chamber of Commerce perspective, we want to increase trade and sort of cultural relations between the two countries. And I guess having more Lithuanians in Lithuania who know Norway so well is a very good way to achieve that goal.
But I think there are a lot of smart Lithuanians who are not living up their potential.
Yes.
Who could do really well, but it's like, I don't know, I'm not good enough, I'm a different culture, I'm afraid.
I could answer that by saying that there's a hell of a lot of Norwegians who do the same. Who don't live up to their potential. I mean, do I live up to my potential? I don't know. Perhaps I should be a brain surgeon. I don't know. So, but I think I see your point. And I think this kind of self-confidence, how do you feel? Again, what I know from East Germany back in the days of the reunification, because then I knew many people on the east side. I knew many people who did not want to have this reunification. They wanted to have a German Democratic Republic as it was planned to be. So they were very sad on the night of the reunification. And I was there, and I was with them, and to see how sad they were, and to see how happy the millions outside in the streets were, it was a bit of a shock. So because they knew that in the new Germany, that they would be second-hand citizens for many, many years, as they were, by the way. Now, Lithuanians have no reason to think of themselves as second-hand citizens in Norway. Do you feel that you are some second-hand citizen in Norway?
From time to time.
From time to time. Okay, so when is that? What happens when this happens to you?
I think mostly it's when I can't express myself in the proper way.
Yeah.
When I don't really understand what are they talking.
You mean in Norwegian?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, any foreigner in a foreign country comes to that. But I understand that. Maria has been my spouse, Maria from Kleppesto. She is a lawyer by education. She came to Norway to do her master's degree in maritime law, and then she stayed in Norway afterwards. So we met in the maritime industry. We met in something called Shipping Klubben, which is not there anymore, but it was a club, shipping club. And she has the same, she sometimes feels, even though her Norwegian is so fluent, sometimes you just don't know enough words or the context. So that's why I'm very proud that she is now becoming a Alf Prøysen. Go home and do your research on Alf Prøysen, and she now sings Alf Prøysen songs for our children, and they are just mesmerized. And
okay, we will add that to comments.
To hear her singing Alf Prøysen is just amazing. But this thing about that's communication. The other thing is whether you feel like an inferior, superior person. When people from the West, at least before, travel around in the East, or you have kind of Western people traveling in other societies, or Americans traveling around the world, Americans always feel superior to anybody, right?
Yeah, that's
so then you can take
the best everything.
Yeah, exactly. So most Americans, and this is just the way it is. I've been around the world and seen this many times. So Americans are used to being superior to everybody. Now, West Europeans kind of have, I guess, the same feeling in the East Europe times, but that's like many, many years ago now. And what I think you should be so proud of, and that's why I also mentioned independence, because in the days before independence came to Lithuania, a year before that, I happened to meet the shipowner Leif Høeg himself, from the Høeg family, the second or the fourth generation or something. And I told about the Chamber of Commerce and Kleppesto, and then he said, I have to tell you that I'm so impressed. he said this to me, I'm so impressed with the Lithuanian government and the way they have met every single milestone we made for this project. And it's a big project. And it's a project that many other countries wanted. Poland, Latvia, I don't know if Estonia, but Lithuania, they did it and they made it. And when he said that, how impressed he was about reaching all these milestones, I think that's something one should be very proud of. And the way you are, developing technology and so many things to be proud of. But then, I think we can talk about some issues. You want to talk about issues?
Okay, let's talk about the issues. Bring one.
Okay. Well, Norway is a trust-based economy. Scandinavia is a trust-based society.
Open and
open,
everything.
We trust each other.
Yeah, there is no, if you drive metro, so there is no, physical barrier when you need to just assume that you will have a ticket.
Yeah, and then of course sometimes there are controls and so on.
Yeah,
But the thing is that, I can give an example. The summer 2014, Maria and I were driving from my parents outside of Bergen back to Oslo in an open car, and we drove along West Norway. We have all these berries being picked and sold. So every berry farm would have a stand down by the road. We would have boxes of berries, and there would be a little box to put money in.
Yep.
So you would stop, you would buy some berries, put money in this box, and you would go. And then she said, Tom, what is this? And I told her, and she said, what? And then she took a photo and she sent home, because she said in Lithuania this would be not possible, because somebody will steal the berries, somebody will steal the money. Yeah. But then again, as an economist, I would say, well, you couldn't have a person selling this, because it wouldn't be worthwhile. So the risk of loss is so low that you don't really care about that, and most people are trustworthy. But if you look at the opposite of a trust-based economy, then perhaps you can call it a distrust-based economy. And if people don't trust each other, they don't trust the system, something happens to your mentality.
Yeah, you start
And I can tell you...
don't believe in people.
Yeah, and I can tell you, if you talk to Lithuanians in Norway, at least the ones I know, many of them say that they have, perhaps not fallen in love with, but they like the society, they like the openness, the trustworthiness, the way we communicate, the openness. And they say that in Lithuania, not everywhere, not always, but things are a bit more closed, we are a bit more skeptical to people.
Yeah, I think that's true, because we are coming from the society where we have been deceived so many times.
Yeah.
Changing all from Soviet Union to from rubles to then low temporary valuta, and then litas, and then so. Yeah,
and then don't start getting me talking on litas and euro, because something happened there. That,
we can.
That's another story.
We'll not start in this one. In one private conversation, you mentioned about how that there is some kind of different model how professionals should come into the Arbeitsmarket.
Labor market.
Yeah. So, and you had an example of economist society or something.
What I think you should do is any Lithuanian who has some kind of profession should join associations.
Associations.
I was many years in charge of the association for my own education, Econa. And there are some Lithuanian members in Econa, and now there are probably more. So if you have a business degree, Econa is for you. If you have a technology degree, then you have Tekna, for example. These associations for people with...
So those associations, they are what are they doing?
Well, they are interest, they're not political, they are interest organizations or associations. They might be political for some people, like a labor union, but for most it's an interest association. And I think for Lithuanians, or any other ones, but Lithuanians in Norway, to find where can you find your crowd. We have just had another one coming to Norway now, Sandra and her husband who came to Norway. He doesn't speak English too well, but some I have heard, and he doesn't speak Norwegian, of course. But her husband, I haven't met him, but he has joined a basketball group of Norwegians. And suddenly he comes from Lithuania, he's a kind of somebody in basketball amongst Norwegians. And she just told me that he had now said to them that they have to be much tougher because the Norwegians were so careful with each other. Whereas in basketball, you really need to be a bit more pushy. And he is from Lithuania, so he is now kind of leading them into becoming more, I don't know, pushy or something. But you know, the thing is that find your crowd among, based on your education, based on your interest, blend with other people. And what I have noticed in Norway is that many Lithuanians do not want to hang around Lithuanians. They want to hang around people. Norwegian people, international people, whatever. And you know, find places where you can belong based on your education or your interest. That's, I think, a very good tip. And be part of society.
Okay. So I think we are coming to the end of this interview. Anything else you want to add to encourage to say? Well,
yeah. I mean, take this back to Lithuania. Try to make it a more open and you know, there's so much to be happy about in Lithuania. So many good things, but of course many people struggle, and the brain drain has some reasons. We understand that. So I think what, you know, I've been doing RAFTO Human Prize Awards for many years, and these people who do enormous things for their countries. If Lithuanians in Norway who have a kind of good life could think, okay, so what can I do for my country, either in Norway or back home? How can I help my country, you know, up somehow with resources or with knowledge or, you know, whatever. So find out how you can contribute to your country from abroad, and what you can do when you are home with your family, friends, colleagues, whatever, because that's what the Chamber of Commerce is all about as well. How can we sort of lift the whole thing together?
Okay. So if someone wants to have some venture in Norway, they should definitely join the Chamber of Commerce
and the LPO
and the Lithuanian professionals in Oslo. There is, we'll add the links to the comments. And yeah, we talked about issues. Can I say one more thing, or is it too late now? No.
You know, my main issue is the level of service mentality. I've been working a little bit with the Medical Tourism Association and the medical tourism companies, and I've been around in many hotels, you know, now in many places, and shops and cafes and restaurants. And if you really want people to be happy as tourists and clients in Lithuania or in any other country, they have to be feeling welcome. They have to be met with smiles, with openness, with positivity, with a solution-based mentality that yes, we can fix this for you. You know, the Swedes are the best for that. So we have had many Swedes in Norway working in bars and restaurants, and you know that. And whenever you come to any Swedish bartender or whatever it is, or in a shop, they will always say, yes, of course, we can fix that. We do that, yes. Norwegians are all almost like that, but not all Norwegians are like that. And I think there's a history behind that. But Lithuanians, you know, we have many good Lithuanians, but you have many Lithuanians who don't do that at all. They don't smile. They don't have anything to offer you. They are no people instead of being yes people. They are young people, well educated, whatever, you know. And then you ask yourself, why is it like that? And then, like I talked with somebody last week about this, and they said we can't any longer say it's because of the Russian time. At least not young people. You know, because that's old. That's over now. You can't blame it on the Russians forever. So my main message is find a way to make people in Lithuania who deal with tourists and business people from abroad be positive and smiling. And if there's anything we can do in that direction, let us do that.
So basically you are saying that when we are not smiling, when we are not like supporting, we are blocking ourselves from opportunities.
Yes, and would people like to come again to something like that? Perhaps not.
Doubt.
So, you know, make sure that people want to come back. And I said some things about Americans, but at least they know this. You know, Americans are but of course they want to have tips and everything, you know, but look at different cultures and this kind of openness and positivity, and then see how can we change Lithuanians to become more open, positive, smiling, and service-oriented.
That's going to be a challenge.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so keep smiling, be open,
smiling.
and go extra mile for your customers. See you next time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. That was fun.
Yep.
But don't you agree?
What?
That's a big thing, you know, this service thing.